Okay, hey guys, welcome. It's good to see you all here. Now, as usual, in all our live stream training, please key in your name and where you're from. I heard that there are at least 30 different countries of people all over the world attending our live stream right now.
Close to 40.
Close to 40, wow. People from different walks of life, I'm pretty sure. All right. Cool, nice. Type of one if you guys are ready. Okay, that is amazing. And thank you so much for joining me. And as usual, you will see some of our names in special colors. Those are our trainers. These are the people from Team Joey Up who will be assisting you throughout our training sessions. All right, guys, please introduce yourself. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. It's an honor to be able to serve you for the next 5 sessions here. And we're going to have a lot of fun learning parts. You guys ready? Type a yes if you guys are ready. So let's get right into it. Who's in for a level up here right now? Type a me. You guys want to level up your life? Cool. And you want to level up your life in an easy and exciting and fun way. Type a 2 right now. Okay. So make sure that you prepare, have the mindset to prepare for 5 days of work. Now I'm going to spread this 5 days out, but it's going to be 5 days of work that you need to allocate at least, okay? For a lifetime of harvest, I think that's a pretty good deal, don't you think so? Right? So I'm going to show you a framework to create something truly powerful and truly belongs to you to reshape and to activate all the potential in your life. How about that? Would you like that? I'm going to show you a tool to help you resolve some of life's most difficult questions and challenges. A proven system to help you work through the traumas and the limiting beliefs and the so-called pain and setbacks and maybe the identity issues that some of you might have that is holding you back from achieving the best that you could ever be. What if I told you there is a method to really substantially increase your capacity for success and wealth? What if I told you there is a tool that will help you discover who you really are and your true identity, and more importantly, identify your strengths? Type of me if you guys would like this tool. How many of you would like a proven system that is easy to learn, to understand your life path, your place in this world, and to be a winner, a true winner in life? Type a me right now in the chat. Now, before we go on to talking about the systems and the methodologies and all that, right? First, we have to ask ourselves this very important question. And the answer to this question, when you answer, there's no right or wrong. It's a question of understanding your perspective. This will help you set the tone on how successful you are going to be with learning and acquiring parts. This question is this: do you feel that you are in charge of the outcomes in your life? Or do you feel that there are actually forces that are much greater at play that is actually affecting your outcome? Which one is it? The first one or the second one? Type your answer right now. You see, the answer to the question that I just asked you when you're thinking about it is actually talking about fate versus destiny. Now, in fact, this is the question that I think a lot of people, before they even start learning about what astrology is, what metaphysics is, because some people assume that life is already fated from the start, that, whatever they're going to decide or not decide, how much they get to eat or not to eat, it's already predestined. My older generation, from my grandparents and all that, they used to think that, they used to tell me, right, that, life is already like this, whether you're going to be rich or poor, it's all fated from the start. So just relax and enjoy your life if you can, right? If this lifetime you came here, you have good things, it's because you did something great before. If you are suffering right now, it's because in the past, you karmically, you have done some shit. That's why you have this faith, okay? Whereas part of you guys right here have a different perspective. Part of you guys will think, hey, I'm responsible for the outcomes that I get in my life. I'm in control of my destiny. I make decisions, and the decisions lead to a certain outcome, and therefore I could actually influence the outcome because I make my own choices. So the reason why I ask you this question is because if you have the perspective that your life is already fixed from the start, that means you're coming from a position that there's very little option and choices you can make. Okay? Whereas if you're coming to this training knowing that, hey, I came here to learn about what options that I have in my life, and therefore I will make better decisions, and therefore I can actually get a better outcome, then you are in control of your destiny. Now, which one of this is true, right? Because there are practitioners out there are masters out there who totally believe in this concept of faith. In fact, a lot of the teachers that I have learned from before actually believe in faith. They even told me from the start, based on my pattern, you are fated to be poor. I'll tell you the story later on, huh? But it's true. This is exactly what I got when I was 15 years old when I went to some of these masters. And but I have discovered that this faith thing is kind of like, going to a bar. When you go to a bar and you met the girl of your dreams, okay? That's faith. But what happens in the same night that you met the girl of your dreams after that? That's your destiny. Because faith brings things together. From in my view, is that we all have a set of so-called astrology chart or what we call the fate chart that we have, right? And in a short while, in these sessions that you'll be learning, you will understand what is inside, what is given to you, what you could claim, what's available. It's like, oh, there's going to be a nice opportunity to meet someone at the bar, right? Oh, there's someone there. This is an energy, by the way, okay? So when you're there, but what you choose to do with it, like whether or not you went to the bar in the first place, and whether or not you strike up a conversation, whether you're a good conversationalist, whether you actually are an interesting person, that is all destiny. So there is, I would look at life from the perspective of metaphysics, it's an interplay of both fate and destiny. Everyone is given a set of possibilities, and you have to make choices with these possibilities to get the outcome, okay? So in a different perspective, some people will say, is it possible to actually change fate? So I can tell you the answer is in this example that I'm going to give you, right? So if there's a baby, you guys seen a baby before? Like babies, how old do they start to learn to crawl? Say 8 months, maybe 6 months, 8 months, right? Let's just say less than a year old. Start to crawl a little bit, move a little bit. Now, if you put this baby on top of a table, baby on top of a table, okay? Just imagine, okay? And I mean, don't do this at home, but imagine baby's on the table right now. If you do nothing, at some point the baby is going to roll off the table and die, right? It's going to fall off. But if you sort of guide the baby and not allow the baby to fall off the table, the baby would not fall off the table. So when you say that life can or cannot be changed, this is the exact analogy. You could guide your life. Well, you cannot leave the table, but you definitely could do a lot of things that allow you not to fall off the table, just like the baby on top of the table. So you could guide yourself to a better outcome. Because based on whatever you have in the chart, there will always be options. This is my discovery. Now, how did I discover this? I have to trace it back all the way to when I was 15 years old. And I used to go to this place in Malaysia. This is like the shopping mall called Sungai Wang. How many of you know where Sungai Wang is? You're from Malaysia, you know where that is? This is like the place, right? Those days, in my younger days, there are not that many malls in Kuala Lumpur. So for those of you who know where they are, you know that it's like the 4th floor or 5th floor upstairs. There are a couple of fortune tellers, right? Do you remember that? It's like the other opposite end of the popular bookstore that used to be there. Yeah? Okay, so in my younger days, I was feeling very lost, don't know what to do in my life and all that. So I have this interest of trying to find out, and I thought this is very interesting. And I went for this so-called fortune telling. And of course, the old master, those days it looked very mysterious, okay? The old master do this calculation by hand and draw out my Bazi chart. And amongst the many things that he said, one of the things that I remember very clearly this master told me is that my chart is called 財多身子弱,富屋貧人. So he explained that this chart, the wealth is the negative element. I will be surrounded by probably rich people, like working in a bank, because it's not my money. People with this sort of chart works in a bank, surrounded by it, but it's not their money, but actually live a very poor life. And then I said, how poor? Oh, you mean poor for how long? Then he said, based on your chart, you'll be poor until 45 years old. Then I asked the master, so master, what happens after 45? And the master said, after 45, you get used to it. Exact answer, I kid you not. Okay, so now, at that time, I heard my fortune being told by the old master. So, for some reason, I was first a bit shocked and disappointed, of course. I remember my grandmother's words saying, hey, sometimes when you read your fortune, you don't fight against heaven's will, you accept your fate, then you'll be happier in life. So for me, it's like, I think I'm only 15. If I accept this to be poor for the rest of my life, what should I do right now, right? This is whether I study or not, it doesn't really matter. So what I thought to myself is, what if I did something differently? What if I went the opposite direction? Would things change? And so that was the pivoting moment that I decided that I want to learn whether this master read in the chart, why did he come up with that sort of answer for me? I want to learn how to read it myself. Maybe I could find some clues into changing the outcome. And so that started my whole journey into learning about Bazi and metaphysics. So remember popular bookstore down the aisle from those shops up there? I went over and looked for books. And that's how I started reading on the subject. And I visited different masters. And unfortunately, different masters say almost the same thing. Your chart is not a great chart. It's a very, very below average chart. Suffering is okay. But as long as you try to be happy and do more good things, that's what you say. Do good deeds and your life will be better. So at 15 years old, I don't know what good deeds I'm not supposed to do, right? So at that time, that was the moment that I decided I need to learn all this stuff. And I can tell you, fast forward so many decades later, I've discovered that in your chart, there are options. Because the old style of reading, it's about accepting fate. The new style of reading that I'll be sharing with you in this 5-part training, it's about designing your destiny. There will be some paths that one has to take that may not be so convenient, but it is actually the shorter cut to success. So I look at my chart and I find out that if I do those things that are written in my chart the easy way, I would have ended up being very average or below average and being poor like predicted in my chart. I could have, because that time, the advice from their master is, in your chart, you should not be in business because business is going to be very difficult for you. Don't run your own business. Just work for other people and your life will be all right. All right. So I decided then, okay, maybe I need to do something very different. I look at my elements and look at the strongest elements. And I said, why not I conquer these elements? I got so many years ahead. At 15 to 45, it's a good 30 years. So I did that. Did I make some mistakes? Yes, along the way. Was it difficult? Well, it wasn't the easiest, but now that I learned all the shortcuts, I realized that there's actually possibility of, doing this in a more fun way and still achieve an extraordinary outcome. So what I'm about to share with you in this 5-part series is the knowledge and the proven system to design your destiny. How many of you here would like to design your destiny the way you want it? Type a me right now. How many of you felt that all this while you seem to be just fated to all these so-called bad things that are happening, the very bad breakup, the very, very nasty career trauma that you've gone through, right? That failure in business, all that you experienced before, well, that's going to end today. We're going to find a way to redesign the outcome. There is a way out. And I can share with you that in the last couple of decades, I have helped so many people transform their lives. And I can show you there is actually a proven system to do that. This 5-part training is designed as 5 separate parts, and each part will bring you closer into designing one aspect of your life. How many of you are into redesigning something great for their life? Type in me right now. Great. Now, I do realize that a lot of you guys are probably new to the Joey Yap world, right? I mean, I've been doing live events for so long, I just sometimes assume that people know who I am. And I do realize a lot of you guys here are new, right? This is the first time you're meeting me, so allow me to reintroduce myself to you. My name is Joey Yap, and I'm the creator of the 八字 Academy. And I have helped more than tens of thousands of graduates, both in their personal and professional life, transform their life. And I've written 200 books, or more probably, in the fields of feng shui, qi, 八字, yi jing, you name it. And I've sold more than 4 million copies worldwide, translated to multiple languages. And through my understanding of 八字and mastery of 八字, I have transformed my life from being a below average student in school to someone who owned multiple businesses and multiple investments all around the world. And today I deliver keynotes and seminars, both live and virtually, as you can see right now, each year to more than 70,000 people each year. And my work has been featured on CNN, Bloomberg, CNBC, BBC. And through 八字, I understand how to connect with people. I connect with many business owners. I learn about running businesses. And today I consult for many, many different businesses through the understanding of 八字. It's because of 八字 that allowed me to do what I do today. And I also share 八字 on my TV shows. Some of you have seen my TV shows before. 8TV, Astro, my annual shows, right? Every year, right? We film it around December, but every January you see that on Astro. That's about the 八字 forecast for the year. On YouTube, more than 3.5 million people. There are many 八字 videos that I've been doing, sharing tips and messages. Some of you are probably here because you were on my YouTube channel, right? You learn 八字 from there as well? Yeah, so a lot of free training is available on my channel. On my Facebook, I share many 八字 tips as well on Facebook, and on Telegram, well, the list is long. So what I'm trying to say is, 八字 is kind of like my go-to system, my first and original system since I started more than 30 years ago. And what I'm sharing with you here in this 5-part training is a culmination of all these experiences about transforming my own life, and more importantly, transforming the lives of the people that I work with. And the people I work with are from different walks of life. Some of my students are here in this group. Some of them have become my consultants. Some are my business clients. Some are mega entrepreneurs around the world. And so my life has been very interesting and far different than what the masters told me back in the day, that my chart is a very below average chart and that I'll be poor until 45 years old. Now you may say, that means the masters read it wrong. No, they didn't read it wrong, because the sentence says, Fu Ngok Pan Yan, right? So it says, rich house, poor person. Well, today translated as rich house means the people that I know, I mean, based on, I'm just trying to tell you factually, I'm not trying to impress you, but impress upon you. There are different interpretations of this. Rich house means I've known a lot of billionaire friends. And they're nice people. So compared to them, of course, I'm the poor person when I meet with them. But I get to learn from them. I get to see how they manage their business, how they solve problems. And I take what I've learned and I share with all the people that I know, like my students and my clients and my family and my friends. And that's how the transformation works. So I don't think it's a bad chart. I don't see it that way. What do you guys think? So same chart, different perspective, guys. Different perspective is how you manage this. Okay? So are you guys excited to learn about how to see your own chart? Okay, after this 5-part training, you're going to look at your chart or your life in a totally different perspective. And just by switching that perspective, things change. When you look at the things in your life differently, your life will change. That's it. It's a simple formula. So here's the 5-part training framework to master 八字. The first part is all about understanding who you are. By understanding who you are, you understand what fate has given you, what this universe has presented you, that there are many gifts. It's just that you didn't know yet you have it in the first place. Just like when I look at my chart, when someone told me, oh, you know, you're going to be poor forever, but my question was, so where are my strengths? I got to have some strengths that I could develop, right? So it's how you look at the chart, guys. I'm going to show you how I did it. I'm going to show you how I did it for many, many people. And I'm going to show you how you can do it too. It's just changing that perspective. Once you strengthen your identity about yourself, when you strengthen your identity, the confidence will come, the courage will come, the faith will come. And when that happens, life changes. How many of you here know that if you just have a little bit more courage in life, your life will be a whole lot better? Type of me right now. Right? How many of you here believe that if you have a little bit more faith in yourself, that your life will actually become better? Correct? Right? So you may say, I'm fearful, right? I don't dare to make too many mistakes. I can't afford to make mistakes. I get it. Fear is a major problem in many people's life, right? Because you fear that you might fail, you might fear that people don't like you, you might fear so many things. But what is the antidote to fear? What is it? Faith. Faith is the antidote to fear. So how do you have faith in yourself? Right? So the way to do that is to understand your strength. So that is the first part. That's going to be a process today, and it's not going to be difficult. Okay? Guys, before you begin any study, don't keep thinking that difficult. Oh, too confusing. Watch the words. Well, as you're learning, watch the words that go through your mind. This is important because we keep giving ourselves instructions, and these instructions describe the feeling, and the feeling turns it into reality. And so whenever you want to say the word confusing, it's too slow, it's too fast, it's too difficult, don't say any of those things. Change that to interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. So the more you do that, you will self-motivate and you will master any subject. You should write this down. That's the formula I just provided you. Okay? So if money matters, you don't like to do finance because financial numbers give you a headache, don't say it's difficult. Say it's interesting. All right? So when you become interesting enough, one day you will say, hey, I can actually learn this. All right? So first part. The second part, it's all about understanding the gifts, the talents, the hidden talents, right? Well, talents hidden or not is basically whether you understand that you have it or you don't. If you don't know that you have it, it's hidden. When you know you have it, no longer hidden. You now know what to do with it. Your gifts, your abilities, your capabilities. That's the second part here. So just this section alone, you understand what this universe or this higher power or this universe force has given you in this lifetime. And this is the part that actually changed my life. It's not about focusing on all the bad things that is in my chart. It's about focusing on the good stuff that is in my chart. Everyone has got 8 characters in their parts. And you'll learn about this in a short while. Every one of you have it. One of them has to be good, right? One of them has to be good. One of them has to be useful. It's impossible to have, out of 8, you don't have one that is usable. The problem is how much time you spend on that one section in your life. If you spend the most time of your life focusing on what's bad, you have a bad life. If you spend your time focusing on what's good, you have a good life. A good life or a bad life is how much we focus on. If I ask you right now, it's the last year a good year for you? Well, if you look at all the bad things that happened last year for yourself, you probably would feel that it is a crap year. But if you look at all your blessings last year that happened for you, then you learned something, that you became better, you actually felt better, you solved a problem, then you have a great year. Okay? So this part, let me show you what to focus on. And then we're going to use the information for something super useful. You guys excited? To really manage what you could do in your life. I think 70% of our life is spent on doing this. 70%. So if you do this thing well, this part well, you will experience a higher quality of life. You will experience a happier life. You will experience a life where you could actually make more impact. You will experience a life where you could actually enjoy more, or at least less shit happening in your life, right? So how do we do that? I think it's all about understanding what skill set that we have. If you think about it, making money is a skill, correct? Engineering is a skill, accounting is a skill, doing parts is a skill, by the way, right? Speaking is a skill. By the way, being happy is a skill. Managing your spouse is a skill, right? Managing your body, your health, your fitness is all a skill set. The thing is, people don't realize it's a skill set until they realize what I'm going to share with them in part 3. Once you understand, oh, these are the specific skills that once acquired, based on your chart, of course, it will activate certain possibilities, certain level up. How many of you are excited to level up your life? Right? Don't spend the time learning something that is not useful, that's not aligned to your chart. It's like walking up the mountain. But if you understand that there are certain gifts in your chart and you learn the skill set that is related to your gifts, it's going to be easy to acquire. Okay? All right. And then we move on to the most important, I think, in our lives is the ability to see possibilities. Options. What options do you have in life, right? Where are the options and what choices? How do you make the choices on those options? And more importantly, I think, who can help you, right? If we want to get to the next level, we have to connect with people who can help us. Because these are the people that will open up new opportunities in our life, new possibilities in our life, that turns the options into possible choices, that creates the outcome that we want. If we don't learn to work with people, we don't connect with the type of people that is helpful to us, we don't get to where we want fast enough. We only have one lifetime. You think about it, right? We spend most of our life, if you think about it, right, in eternity. Until one point, you come to this world and we live a very short period of time. Even if you live to 100 years old, compared to eternity in heaven or in some other dimension, it's a very short period of time. You only have this 100 years. Hopefully you live to 100, but not many people do. To actually get to, impact the world and impact the family and change whatever you want to change, it's a very short period of time. So how are you going to do this on your own without connecting, without the right networks, without the right people, right? Without recognizing the possibilities and opportunities here and there. So growth really depends on this. To grow and expand depends on this. That's section 4. And for some of you who will be joining me in the VIP package, that means you will be here for part 5, which is about wealth. Now, wealth for many people is just monetary, but wealth in the metaphysics world includes great health, vibrant well-being, spiritual wealth, family wealth. It's about you becoming more fulfilled, about creating multiple sources of fulfillment, aka make more money. So if you have not already done so, please join us as part of our VIP group, okay? Now, don't forget to stay till the end of every session. Why? Because at every session, there'll be a giveaway. Like, it's a different giveaway all the time, okay? So for this particular session, we're going to give away a book. This one at the end, okay? So not now. There'll be a chance to win one copy. There's going to be 10 giveaways every day. So stay to the end. I'll give you the instructions. And by the way, there will also be special downloads related to the topic that I share for that session. So if you might miss out on some important things or maybe some additional information, additional reference, at the end of the day, I'll let you know. Okay, so you got to stay on the day for that special download. Oh, and one more thing. Let's address the elephant in the room. Is there something to buy at the end of this training? Well, the answer is yes, because most of this training is extracted from a program that we have that is called the 八字 Core Identity Atlas. So I just want to put it out there that this is available in case you want to take this to the next level. Okay? So only if you want to take this to the next level and learn more. And we do have another training product called the Core Identity Atlas Training Kit. So I'm just going to put it up here for you to see. In case you want to take things further and study more, you know, people always ask me, right, do I need to buy this book? Which book should I read? Where do I get more information? Because it's going to get really exciting in this 5-part training. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys will want to know what's next for you, right? So I just want to put it up here so that I can get it out of the way and just focus purely on the training. Okay, so let me tell you about this very quickly. So the training program, it's all about the Identity Atlas, character, traits, interests, abilities, talents. A lot of what we do in this 5-part training is extracted from that training. Okay, so that's where you get more information. And for those of you who already know about the Core Identity Atlas, you might be interested in the training kit. Now, this kit contains cards, reference cards that immediately point to the character, traits, interests, abilities, and talents where you could easily do a reading. And it also includes mind maps where, it facilitates your learning and practice in understanding anyone's core identity. Okay, so that's it. Only 2 very special products that we have for this 5-part training that we are promoting. And if you find good value in this 5-part training with us and you would like to take this further, by all means, support us and go into 1 or 2 of these training programs. Thank you so much. Let's continue. Let's get right into our training today.
Hela, can you remind us about VIP?
Oh, VIP. Okay. So there's one more last thing, all right? Okay. In case you guys have not already done so, remember to upgrade to the VIP package. Because some of you are asking for replays, right? Extended replays. Some of you have a lot of questions, so there's going to be a VIP only Q&A, and then there's a VIP day for the part 5 and some additional notes. If you like all these perks, then it's just, scan this or click on the link, get the upgrades, okay? It's really a no-brainer. This is really, I think, it supports our team, and also it enables us to do free events like this for the rest of the world as well, okay? So I hope you will join us in the VIP. Okay. Now, before we go on to the methodologies about maximizing your 八字 and maximizing all the potential and being the best you could be, let's rewind back to the 15-year-old Joey Yam, where you are me right now, 15 years old, and you met the fortune teller, the master, and you've done a reading and the master just told you that you will be poor until 45 years old. What would your reaction or response be at that time? I want you to type the answer right now in the chat. Now, I ask you this question, I put you in these scenarios because at that one point, my so-called destiny chart is the same chart, isn't it? Guys, isn't it the same chart? Even until today, it's the same chart. The chart didn't change, right? But how I view the chart and what decisions I'm about to make is what made the difference. So it wasn't the chart that determined my destiny. The chart is just my fate. It's fated for me to have a chart like that. So whatever is given is in there, right? So when I think back to my 15 years old, I realize that it is because of the the perspective that I've chosen, which key player, how do I wish to play the game of life, I have chosen. And because I chose that mode, that helped me shape my destiny. And I'm going to share this with you. So before you even interpret your chart, right? Or maybe you've done some readings before and someone told you have a shit chart, a shit life. Don't worry. At this point, you just need to understand you could be one of these three players. So these three modes is also what I've been analyzing for the past couple of decades with so many different people. The chart is the same. How they choose to play the game of life, how they show up as a player in that path really made the difference in maximizing what they have in the chart or really suffering the fate that was so-called predestined to be given to them. And this is what I call the victim to victor journey. First, you must identify whether you are a victim or you are going to be a victor. Type your answer. So everyone's going to be a victor. Nobody's going to be the loser, right? Okay, so I know. Cool. I can see that a lot of you are typing victor. I mean, some of you are victim. I mean, I don't know why you do that, but not so good, okay? So when you look at the parts chart, you can look at it from three different player mode. The first one, we call the strugglers. Okay, so if I were a struggler, I would look at my chart at that time and probably I would have a victim mentality. Okay, if I'm a struggler at that time, I would look, oh shit, right? The master, this renowned master who is at that time, I think he looks ancient. Well, to me, he looked like 80 years old, or he probably looked like 100. And he told me that I'll be poor until 45. Oh shit, victim mentality, right? I could feel helpless. I could feel pessimistic. I could be really, suffering from pessimistic thinking, making decisions based on this negative emotion, and I could live in that framework that I've been given a bad chart. Okay? So I could be that. Now, a struggler in real life generally is someone that feels that the world is unfair. That's how they feel it. The world has been unfair. A close relative of mine, I had a conversation with, and this is very interesting because I was like, hey, how's it doing? I haven't seen this cousin in a long time, right? And I say, hey, how you doing? He says, I'm doing okay. But life is difficult. The economy is so bad, right? The government is not helping. And, there's so much politics in the corporate world. And it's unfair to people like us. I'm like, I listen to all this. It's like, my gosh, you went to private school. I went to public school. And you are the one telling me that the world is unfair to you. So the mentality, you see, his chart is not a bad chart, but he's a bad player. And this is a relative, of course. Well, I didn't say much because it's an older relative, so I just kept quiet and listened. But the moment you have a common sentence, a common verbal that say the world is unfair because I got a bad chart, or the economy is bad, or the government is against us, people like me never get a real chance. It's easy for them because they had help. I've never had that. That's why it's not easy for me. In fact, this relative was almost saying, oh, because you started off well. And I said, hey, I didn't start off well too, right? Because we started at the same time, right? So he couldn't say that to me, right? But he was going to say that at that conversation, which I thought was really interesting. He just find that there's no excuse when he's talking to me. Because to these people, the government, the economy, the market is ruining everything for them. So that's called the victim mentality. And also, for some reason, they would constantly seek validation for why life is hard. So they would probably say that because I have these clashes and these negative elements that you told me in the chart, they would blame their chart. They will blame the external forces or whoever who's born with their child. They'll probably blame their mom. Why can't you just hold me in and born me in the next 1 hour where I could be better? You bitch, you're dead and I can't do much. So they have all this mentality, which is not good, all right? So they probably they feel powerless And they believe that success is only for the lucky and privileged. That's the issue. But a lot of them will be secretly hoping that their suffering will end on its own. So that's why when they come for parts of reading, they would ask, when will I be rich? How many of you ask this question? Slap yourself right now. Slap yourself out of the struggling mentality. Because it's not about when this problem will end or when will I get married so my loneliness will disappear. When will it end on its own? Anytime you have a when will it end on its own or when someone will save me mentality, that's called a struggler. Okay? So they spend a lot of time explaining why things won't work rather than finding solutions. So if I, back at 15 years old, see what made the difference was that I didn't have this mentality at 15 years old. So you may say, yeah, but you're born with that chart. No, but the chart doesn't determine your mentality, guys. Mentality is developed, it's a choice. That's the part that determines your destiny, by the way. It's because of the choice of player that you choose. Because there are people who believe that their parents made it that way, their parents are like this, whatever, right? Whatever you say, but as long as you have an external reason, you are a struggler. And the reason why I need you to have that conscious awakening right now is because if you are not consciously awakened to this, you will keep playing the struggler role, and you will put yourself in a situation that they will be unable to change the outcome. So you can't design destiny. Therefore, you will live your life as if your life is fated. Okay? So it's so important. That's what made the difference, because I consciously chose not to have a struggler's mentality. That's the difference. Okay? So I think that's the first thing you need to realize. You're not destined to have a struggler's mentality. It's a choice. All right? Your chart, however, is not your choice. But how you play this game, first you must decide which player are you. Now, the second group that I realized is after so many years of doing reading with people, and if you want to change your destiny, you got to be at least at this level. This is the middle range. This is called the survivors. I call this the survivors. So in this group, they are constantly in the survival mode. That's why I call it survival, right? They're working hard. These are hard-working people, decent people. These are the decent people working hard, but they just somehow keep falling behind. So if you're one in that group that, I just need to make enough to go through this month. I'm okay, but I just work hard to get through this month. I'm exhausted. These are the common things you hear. I'm exhausted, but I don't have the luxury of slowing down. I got to keep doing what I'm doing. Hustle. How many of you hustle all the time? Right, hustle, right? So, unfortunately, the hustlers are in the survival mode, right? They will always say, I love to do something I actually enjoy, but that's not a realistic thing right now. They're burned out but afraid to stop. That's what survival mode is like, right? They submit to power and authority. They submit to, other people. They're normally neutral in outlook, right? I don't really believe in this metaphysics or astrology fully, but if it suits me, I believe it anyway. Right? I believe hard work is necessary in life. How many of you talk like this, right? But I don't have time to think bigger. You think I don't know that I need to learn more? You think I don't know? I have dreams too, but I got no time. Surviving, right? So dreams have to take a backseat to handling daily responsibilities. And the fear of losing what they have keeps them from taking any risks. This is the survival mode. Okay, so some of them will say, at least I have a job. My life is average, but it's slightly above average. It's good, but not great, but if it pays the bills, I don't have time to think about the future. I just need to survive today. That's basically what survival means, right? Or maybe they will say, I got no choice. You think I like it? You think I want me? That's the Malaysian style. You think I want me? I'll be put in this situation. It's all that. So these are survivors. They make decisions based on a reaction they have to whatever is given. This is the difference. Okay, now, I also realized that when I was at 15 years old, I probably am at the survivor mentality at the time, because I was just like, okay, I was just a kid, right? All I know is I got this exam that I need to handle. All right, I was in my teenage years. I wasn't popular at all. I don't think any girls liked me at that time. It was miserable. That's why I went for reading. So I want to know my future. So I was asking a question that is based as if my life is fated. But when I realized that if I chose the struggling mentality, right, then there's no hope. At least I need to know that I need to make through this month, step by step. Right? When in doubt, this is something that I heard in a young age. When in doubt, all you need to do is take the next right step forward. The next small right step forward. You don't have to think 10 steps ahead. What's the next one step forward? That's all. 1 foot ahead of each other, you'll be there. Okay? But here's what I truly discovered that changed not just my life, but the lives of all the people that I work with. And this is what I call the Thrivers. Now, Thrivers, same human being, but the difference is how they see what they have in their chart and what they have in their life. Because the mindset is abundance and growth. That's the biggest difference. And I think for those of you guys who have been with me in my trainings before or met me in person or worked together with me before, you realize that that is the biggest difference between how I do things and how I train my people and how I live my life, right? Abundance and growth is the main theme all the time. Because if you don't have this, you cannot change your life or anyone else. So, Thrivers, the player mode, it's always about, tell me what I can do next. Survivor is, I just need to get through this. I just need to get through this to survive. Struggling mode is basically, why is life so bad? Why is it unfair? Why bad things happen to me? And when will it all be over? So the first thing you guys need to do is to look at that mental talk before you go into the techniques of reading the chart. Because the same component, through a thriver, they will see opportunities. But to a struggler, they will see, oh shit, why is my life so bad? The first thing that strugglers will do, they look for the bad things in the chart. They're just trained to do it. But the thriver will look at, tell me what's next. Tell me what I can do. They are proactive and future focused. You should write this down, guys. They're always looking for the next step. What's the next step I can take? How do I empower myself? How do I empower other people? They always look at things optimistically, not positively bluffing themselves. There's a difference between being positively stupid. Sometimes there are toxic positivity and stupidity. I believe myself. That's dumb. Yeah. Optimistic means you are still realistic. You just see the possibilities, and you make calculated decisions, and you live in the moment for the future, right? You expect challenges as a thriver, right? So as a thriver, you expect challenges. So when at 15 years old, I moved myself from survivor mentality to thriver mentality. It took some time. It didn't happen overnight, of course. I expected challenges because I already told myself, if I, go with the flow, like what my grandma used to say, right? Then I don't really like the outcome. I'm probably going to suffer anyway. So I expected challenges. Is the way I see it is, it's going to be pain anyway. So I just choose my pain anyway. Choose the pain that I'm willing to live with. So I expected challenges, but I see them as an opportunity to adapt and improve. It didn't happen overnight. I'm telling you this. It took a long time to do it. But over that course of so many years, I've realized that life can really be at a higher end, a better version of yourself. Okay? So here are the questions. Challenges will come, but thrivers tell themselves, I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. I always find a way. Okay? A lot of you guys here are thrivers, right? Because you think like that. And you always ask yourself, instead of, I cannot afford something, you always ask yourself, how can I afford it? How can I afford it? How can I find a way? Right? Those days when I was learning parts, you don't even know. You know how expensive it is back in those days? You think you guys learn parts expensive. You get a free class right now, right? Back in the day, when I was a student in university, and I knew that I need to get to Hong Kong to study one of these masters back then. I mean, these masters since passed. And I went to Hong Kong. This is 1996, 1 year before the handover, right? Went to his office. asked a question like, what are your courses and all that. He said, I don't teach privately. You come and study. That's how classes are taught back in the old days. You have to get to, their training, which is every week or bi-weekly, and you sit in there like the rest of the students and learn that way. Okay, so obviously because I'm from Malaysia, I'm just a student. Innocently I asked, is there a way you could teach me privately? Because I come from Malaysia, very far away. You see, back then, you don't have what we call the cheap flights, right? Every flight's expensive. And for me to get there as a student is very hard. But then again, I was already practicing like in school, and I had some money from consults. I was making $50 per reading when I was doing this in university. So when I went there, the master said, okay, $1,000 US dollars per session. And you need, based on your level, you're so stupid, right? Well, he didn't say that, but his face tell me that. So 40 lessons at least. Basically, what he's saying, this is a fuck off price. And I said, okay, I'll figure a way. But I guess you don't know what the hell I was going to do. But I came back and I thought, okay, $40,000 I need to make right now. So it's a challenge. There was no point that I felt, seriously, I didn't feel that, I know 40,000 is a lot of money because when I told my dad, and my dad said, this money, you could buy a house with it. Because 40,000 at that time, it's like a price of a small apartment, so in Malaysia. So for some reason, I went back to study in Australia. I was doing consults over time. I accumulated that money. Can you believe it, as a kid? So, and I spent it all on going to learn this art of Parzi. That was the time. And you may think, yeah, but this is your luck. It is not. It's a choice. I made a choice. Challenges will come, but I told myself I'll figure it out. That's the difference, okay? So I asked myself, what skill do I need to move forward? And I thought, okay, I'm going to learn Parzi. I'm going to use Parzi. Use metaphysics. I use feng shui to make money so I can learn more feng shui. Makes sense, right? That's exactly what I do. Because someone told me, there's such a thing called pun gong tok. What means pun gong tok? Half you make money, half study. So these are, back in the days, nowadays all the parents can afford their kids to go to university. Back in my time, not all kids at my era, their parents can afford sending them for uni. So they have to work in wherever they are to pay for the other half of the tuition fees. So it's called half study, half make your own. So I thought, yeah, why not I do that for my education in Parzi, and that's exactly what I did, okay? So it's been so many years ago. This is like 96, 97, because I went back the year after, 97 and 98, 2 years in learning. I divided the whole training to two, not in one shot though. I can't afford at that time, right? So I break it down. So that was my part of the history. And that's how when I think back, some people are saying, did he also say your chart is a poor chart? Yeah, he did, but not in the same fashion, because I somehow afforded to pay him the fees, and he was very surprised. And so he did say that in my chart, most people would probably end up working in a large corporation, but paid very low salary. Because the chart, he says my chart, which I know how to read today, is a chart that doesn't hold on to the money, but it is other people's money. So other people is like working in a bank, working in mutual funds and all that. So, but he did say something that's different than the other masters. Like, hey, you probably would do better if you're in the finance industry because now you're managing other people's money. But the best you could do is this. Still limited by destiny, okay? But I didn't care. I just want to know what he knows. And in my mind, I always think about, okay, what can I do differently? What solutions can I find? So that was my mindset. So today I can tell you that this mindset is called the Triverse mindset. And so now, for you guys, the first key lesson here is this. Let's look back at this chart here. You have to be one of this. I would think that the best way to get the best out of your life, you got to be at the Triverse. How many of you are at the Triverse level now? That means your internal conversations is, what's the next step? How can I make this work? How can I afford this? How can I accept this challenge and I can figure things out? You guys are at that level or you're at the survival level? Be honest. So, important, okay? So once you know that, now as a player, hopefully if really, again, even if you're a struggler right now, it's not the end of the world. Everyone starts like that at some point, right? Because you've been through life long enough, Surely, life has beaten you down, giving you a lot of shit and all that, and therefore you think, you don't know much. You don't know how my life has been. I understand, right? But the key is don't stay at the struggling level. Get to the next level, and then get to the next level. Okay? All right. That was the first lesson. Now, second lesson. What exactly is 八字? So, 八字is kind of like this map. I just give you this analogy so you understand why is it important to choose one of these player modes. So on this map here, and it says treasure map, right? Okay. Is it useful to you if one day someone handed you a treasure map that leads to 2 billion US dollars, for example? Just example, right? That's worth $2 billion. Treasure map. Is it useful? If you have a map, this is the map to $2 billion. Why would it be useful? Because in this map, it's not useful until you know where the spot mark X is, where the treasure is, isn't it? So there you go now, just mark the treasure, all right? So let's say now this map now tells you, here is the treasure. There, dig here. Now is this map useful for you? What do you think? Yeah, useful? No, it's still not useful. Why? Because you don't know where you are on this map. The problem is you could, even if it's a treasure map, but if you don't recognize the landmarks, you don't recognize where you are on this journey, for all you know, the treasure could be right next to you and you couldn't find it, right? So the first step in any treasure map is to find out the spot that says you are here, isn't it? Guys, are you following me here? Type of one if you guys are following. Type of one if you guys are following. Yeah? You're following? Okay. So once you know where you are, then you can now sort of dictate and navigate how to get to the treasure. There could be multiple ways to the treasure, isn't it? Okay? That's why prior to our 5-part training, I've told my team to send out the links to a pre-assessment, right? Some of you did it because you submitted it. Some of you have not done so. This life path assessment is very important. If you haven't done it already, please do it. I'll put a link here. You can download it. It's a very simple self-assessment sheet, and it's based on the 6 spokes of 八字. The 6 spokes of 八字, basically 6 aspects of 八字, and you just have to answer the questions honestly. And when you answer the questions honestly, how many of you already done it? You done it already? That's great. That's good. If not yet, you don't know there was a download, right? Okay, you can do that in the links right now. So the whole idea here is to get a sort of it's like an MRI scan, because many people say that they are drivers. I get it, right? I mean, who would say, oh, no, I'm not a driver. I'm a freaking loser. I'm a struggler. Nobody says that, right? Everyone says they're the driver. But until you know where you are in the map, until you know the truth, you probably can't break free from, the cycle of fate and create your destiny. That's why the first step in the training is have an assessment of where you really are. So when you score, it's a scoring here. It's very simple. It teaches you how to score. When you truly score, when you answer truthfully and you have 25 and above, you truly have a driver's mentality. That means it's pretty, I think 95%, you would definitely redesign your destiny. Easy. Okay? It's just a matter of time. Your life will become better if you're not already experiencing. In fact, your life should be good. You should have no issues with finance. You should have no issues with family. Very minimal issue in 1 or 2 aspects of life. That's it. Because you're thriving, right? You're moving forward. Majority of the people will be in a survival mode, but they just think that they're in a thriver mode. And so survival mode is somewhere plus minus 16 to 24 points. This is a quick reference. So you realize that you're probably making progress, but there are quite a number of areas that you actually need to put in more attention. You can probably invest more in yourself to get to the thriver mode. And if you don't, then you probably might deteriorate and move backwards. And if for some of you realize you've been thinking that you're a survivor, or you think you're a thriver, but actually in reality, none of the boxes actually fit to you, then you're actually in a struggling mode that in a fake reality called the thrivers, right? So this is to tell you where you are on this map. Because if you don't know where you are on this map, and how do we know what to improve, right? So I know a lot of people learn parts of, okay, now tell me the elements, tell me the clashes. You learn all that stuff without this important positioning. If you don't do this positioning well, you cannot transform your life. That's why in this training it's so important that you first align yourself with the thriving mode. Okay? Then you will break free from all the problems and traumas and all the obstacles that is holding you back. You will transform that poor relationship to great relationship. You can transform your whatever career that is failing to a thriving career. But only if you know you can do this. A true assessment. Okay? All right. Now that you know where you stand in the metaphorical treasure map, let's look at the real treasure map in your life. This is a Pazi chart. This is the Pazi chart that is very similar to your Pazi chart, which is based on your year, month, day, and hour of birth. So your Pazi chart, all these stuff here is a treasure map. Some of these characters here will hide and contain your treasure. Your job is to figure out which one is the treasure. That's the first step. And number two, where are you in reality towards this treasure? So a reading in any Pazi chart first must start with a reference point. Similarly, in our lives, our starting point must first be to recognize our identity. So, Lao Tzu, this guy? This is a very important guy in Chinese philosophy. He's credited to have invented the Yi himself, the Tao. He talks about the Tao. This is the most important person here. So, he says, knowing others is the wisdom. Knowing yourself is true enlightenment. So, enlightenment means you break free and transform, right? So, the first step is to know who you are and the strengths in your chart. Once you identify who you really are and your strengths, then with the Thriver's mentality, you could maximize and bring out the positives in your chart because you're not afraid of challenges. You're not going to be afraid of the clashes and all those stuff that's not great in your chart. In fact, you would think that, hey, all these are opportunities. But if you have a struggler's mentality, you will say, oh, there's a clash in my chart. When bad things going to happen? What should I avoid? What color of panties I should be wearing? And all those nonsense, yeah? Because you keep thinking, avoid. If you have avoid mentality, slap yourself, you are struggling. Okay? Don't avoid mentality. Think do mentality. What can I do? Okay? Then you are thriving. Remember that. Now, your Pazi, inside your Pazi, this so-called treasure map, it can show you your purpose in life. Purpose means basically get to the treasure. That's your purpose, right? Get to the treasure. The treasure could be something about your financial life. The treasure could be something great in the relationship life. Your treasure could be something great in your well-being, wellness, or physical life. Or maybe something in the family life, something about contribution and impact in this world. So the treasure could be anywhere, right? And any one of these could be a life purpose. The question is, how do you identify that? So hence, the learning of the skill set of reading Pazi. So in Pazi, there's a part about self-understanding. That's where everyone starts. And today, part of it is to do that, to understand yourself. Because Pazi reveals your inherent strengths and weaknesses, and it enables a much deeper sense of self-awareness and acceptance. But again, if you are on the struggler's mode, you will see more bad things. And if you are on a thriver's mode, you will tend to see more optimistic things. Okay? A Pazi can give you life path clarity by understanding this whole map here, because it outlines your life's potential paths. The possibility, remember the possibilities? Show the map again, guys. The possibility of getting to the treasure or better yet, many treasures, right? So there's many potential paths that you could take so you could align your actions with your purpose of getting there. And I think one of the most useful things that I have used is to optimize timing. So if you could identify the best periods for making significant changes or transformation decisions, that will definitely maximize success chances. This I learned the hard way because I learned so much about reading the chart I didn't know, or it didn't dawn on me at that time that, hey, why didn't you freaking follow the timing? At that time, I didn't know, right? Then I learned that as a kid, that time, as I was growing up, I realized, actually, if I just matched my actions to the timing where it's best suited for certain activities, I save a lot of heartache, right? So I learned that the hard way in my life. So I can safely tell you that timing optimization is a key thing in your parts of benefits. And relationship insights, right? So it really, really helps to understand relationship dynamics. And I think one of the things that determine the quality of life is to determine and improve the quality of interactions with other people by recognizing the strengths and weaknesses and compatibilities between two people. That's important. Right? How many of you, if this is the one thing that you improve, you'll really be happy with this 5-part session? If this is the only thing that you improve, you walk away with is greater relationship, you'll be happy. Type of 1 right now. Right? You see? Very important, right? Relationship. If you've got better relationship with your kids, for example, would that be something worth your time? What if there's a better relationship with your estranged spouse? Would that be a better thing for you? Or this is like worth your time? Right? So if someone's suffering from relationship problems, they won't have a great life, right? You want to find a way that, hey, what's the best way to work things through? Don't you think so? Right? So this is why a lot of people put in the effort and time and investment in mastering parts, and not for wealth and all that, but to them, the greatest wealth is the best relationship. Family harmony. How many of you really think family harmony is the true wealth? Type of 1. You resonate with me then. I think that's so important. And besides relationships, career guidance is one of the key usage of Parzi, key usage. And all this begins with you knowing how to identify your true strengths. Because it can suggest, Parzi can suggest the most optimal career paths and or entrepreneurial ventures based on your structure of your Parzi. Some things you could do really well. Some things you need help from other people. Not that you shouldn't do it. I wouldn't say avoid this, avoid that. I would say, okay, if you want to do it and you can't do it based on your chart, then the best thing to do is find the right people to help you. Still, you need to look at their parts. And another one, which is a thing that I think the hardest and most challenging part to learn about parts, it's the part about health awareness. Not that it is a hard topic. Is that to understand health, you should have a little bit of health and wellness training. Because there are a lot of medical stuff that ordinary people like you and I are not exposed to in TCM, for example. How many of you have TCM background? You have TCM background? Great. Then learning parts, you know which element represents the heart, which stem represents which part of the organ, and what type of illness or what type of disease. Then it'll be very easy to connect the two. Otherwise, based on basic elements, you could still highlight potential health issues and periods of vulnerability or suggest preventive measures. And you can also use this for emotional well-being. This is a big thing. People ask me this question. What is the most important thing to teach my kids? What do you think is the most important thing to teach your kids? What do you guys think? The best not studies, the best subject to study in school, all those stuff? Well, I don't think so. The best thing is emotional resilience. Emotional well-being, imagine that, right? If all of us had better emotional resilience, how would life be? Think about it, right? In order to master life, you have to master emotions. Parzi offers strategies to cope with emotional challenges and by understanding your personal, unique emotional cycle. That's the strength of Parzi. Isn't it cool? I mean, a lot of people try to learn Parzi. They think, oh, my life, is it good or bad? But I just want to break it down first, right? Let's see the menu, right? I mean, you might not be interested in looking at emotional stuff, right? But some people do. How many of you think this is important? Right? And you want to learn this, right? It takes a bit of time, but we'll get there. We'll try and get there. I'm just telling you what's out there, right? And obviously, if you put all this together, you use Parzi for decision-making support. right? Because you have a framework for making informed decisions by looking at your luck pillars, your annual pillar and all that. Very useful. This year do what, next year do what, have a long-term plan, short-term plan, whatever, because it's all in your chart, right? So while the fate part, the chart part is fixed, your decisions to play this game, it's all up to you, right? But never, ever, ever play the game of life in the mode of struggler. Because if you play the mode in the struggling mode, everything turns out to be bad, even the good stuff. Okay? So personal growth opportunities you can see from your map, because you can identify periods of challenges and growth, and then you can offer a perspective to, improve your personal development and all that. Okay? So all this stuff is what Pazi has. If this is something that interests you, then study further, right? If not, it's great. You can still know about someone and just have some fun at your parties. That's also great too. Either way, you can't lose. All right? Now, remember this chart here, this life path assessment. I think it's very, very important that you fill this out honestly for yourself. You don't have to share this with anyone, but at least know which one are you at. Okay? You guys okay? You're on a survivor mode? How many of you are thriver, survivor at least? Great. Type your answer here. Let's take things a little bit deeper, guys. Let's go deeper into Pazi. So before we study Pazi, it makes sense to actually know who invented Pazi, right? I mean, it's not that important, but it's good to give credit to the person who created it. So it's this dude here. Now, we don't know whether it looks like this or not, but his name is called Cui Jiping. Mr. Cui, okay? So this is the guy that, he didn't invent Pazi per se, but he developed the system, the foundational system that all of us Pazi practitioners use today. So prior to Mr. Cui, or this grandmaster here, everyone reading a person's destiny is based on the year pillar. But then he came out and said, you need to use the day pillar as reference, and the way you look at the 5 elements should have 10 specific stars, known as the 10 gods. So he basically restructured the Pazi system that take the 5 elements and branched out to this thing called the 10 gods, or the 10 stars that we use today. You'll be learning about this on the 3rd and 4th session in this training as well. Okay? So how does he do it? He takes the 5 elements. These are the 5 elements. Now, the 5 elements is very much similar to, in Western astrology, you have the 5 planets. The 5 planets, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus. These are actually referred to as the 5 elements. Mars is fire, Mercury is water, wood is Jupiter, Saturn is earth, and Venus is metal element, okay? So in metaphysics, you take the 5 elements and there is a yin and yang variation to it. So therefore, you get this thing called the 10 heavenly stems. So the 10 heavenly stems, you have yang and yin wood, yang fire, yin fire, yang earth, yin earth, yang metal, yin metal, yang water, yin water. In fact, your entire Pazi, on the map, the key components inside the map is whatever you see on the surface of the map is kind of like these 10 steps. And whatever is on the land form of the map, the terrain of the map, is kind of like this. This is like the 12 earthly branches. 12 earthly branches is the Earth's orbit around the sun with 12 different segments. Western astrology calls it the 12 houses, right? In the 12 segments, the 12 zodiacs. In our Chinese astrology, this is also the 12 houses or the 12 palaces known as the animal signs. So you have 12 animal signs and you have 10 stems. Because each animal sign has a yin and yang component and the stem has a yin and yang component, when you put it together, you have 60. Now you may say 10 times 12 should be 120, right? No. Because in the branches, 6 of them are yang and 6 of them are yin. The yang stems can only go with the yang animals, and the yin stems can only go with the yin animals. So you get only 60. Okay? So there are 60 of these variations, and these 60 variations will tell you what's on the surface of the map and the inside the terrain of that map, the hidden treasures per se, okay? So your chart is made up of this, the stems on the top, We call it the heavenly stems. Year, month, day, hour. And you have the earthly branches. The year, month, day, hour. This is the main 8 characters. So 八字 means 8 characters, these 8. All right? So I think a lot of you probably already know by now that you actually have 4 different animal signs, but many people still don't know, right? So your animal signs now, some of you might have this problem that, hey, I always thought that I was born in the ox year, but why am I a tiger year? Is your chart wrong? No. The software is always right. The reason you got it wrong is because you have been basing your animal sign on the lunar calendar for so long in your life that you didn't realize that in actual astrology, we use the solar calendar. The Chinese calendar has got 2 versions. Lunar, for all the festivals, and solar, which is used for everything 八字 and feng shui and metaphysics. Mostly is solar calendar. So your real animal sign is different than your lunar animal sign, all right? So which one is correct? Definitely your solar calendar, all right? So this is your 八字 chart, year, month, day, hour. Now, are there other components? Yeah, there's the mind palace, soul palace, and the luck pillars and all that. They'll come later. We'll explore that later. Now, in case you don't have your chart already, which, surprise, right? You should have your chart. But here's the link one more time. Please go and plot your chart. And plot as many charts as possible, please. Your friends, your family, so you have them in front of you. Then the reading becomes super fun. Okay? Again, remember, you are not reading the chart. You're going to transform your life. You're not reading it, when I'm going to be rich and is my life good. You're not a struggler, remember? You are a thriver. So you're going to ask yourself, how can I be great? How can I be better? What's next for me? How can I make this life the best ever? Right? Remember that? Great. Let's talk about the 10 day masters. This is where 八字 begins, right? So you have your year, month, day, hour. We're going to look at this box right here called the day master. So the day master is like the reference point. It's like who you are in terms of your character, personality, nature, and so forth. So when you're studying the core identity atlas, it also begins with a deep understanding of your identity. And it all begins with an understanding of this position right here. So it could be one of these 10. So this 10 here, this wall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this Jat wood, Yin wood, Ping fire, and all this, these 10 characters are called 10 heavenly stems. So all of us is one of this in the day master. That's the first step in reading the Bazi chart. Okay? The first step. So everyone look at your day master. Look at your chart right now. So you look at the day, right, in the center right here. So what is it? Type your answer in the chat right now. Nice, okay? All the yang woods are here. Yin wood, yin water. Great. So now, so this gives you the identity. So in Bazi, we sort of looked at this 10 natural phenomenons and sort of use the nature to describe a characteristics. Again, the nature keywords, it doesn't mean that if you're yang wood, you don't look like a tree and behave like a tree. No, it's just an analogy to help you understand a person's nature. All right? So that's why when we say even wood element, it doesn't mean you need more wood element, so you're going to put wood panels on your body, right? That's stupid. I might as well live in a coffin that's made of wood, right? So don't do that, right? It's an analogy used to describe something. So I want to give you straightforward what a yang wood is like, okay? So the description of a yang wood, if you're a yang wood, how many of you are yang wood right here? Yang wood. So a yang wood is like a big tall tree. The description in the ancient classics is big tall tree. So they are generally, this character here signifies growth-oriented life path. They are resilient like a big oak tree. It's leadership. They normally end up in a role that they need to manage other people or lead other people. They are generally assertive and innovative because the tree grows and it transforms itself. It goes through the seasons. So when the character is positive, when a yang wood is positive, now, How do you know the Yang Wood is positive? When you're actually in a Thriver mode, okay? Then the Yang Wood will be, the character is steady, they are straightforward, they are stern but charming and independent. That's when they're positive, when they're Thrivers, right? They're also kind and protective. They're very protective of their loved ones. You know, a big tree will block out the sunlight so that, you can live under the shade and nicely. They appreciate stability. They're not comfortable uprooting from one place to another. So if you have a Yang Wood person and you're constantly uprooting yourself and going to a different place, it's like replanting the tree all the time. It's not so easy, not so good. Values, status, and being significant in life. That's a Yang Wood character. If you are a struggler, Yang Wood, when you're on a struggling side, you probably are overly cynical, very subjective rather than objective thinkers. That's the setback of being, on a struggling side. Even survivors, sort of move towards this. It's a question of how serious it is. Probably quite vain, lack attention to details if they're struggling. And on a personality side, being Yang Wood, they are resilient. Resilience is one of the key things. Like a big, strong tree, they are frank and outspoken, no sugar coating, you say things as they are. That's when on more of a Thriver's personality. Very loyal. Yang Wood personality are usually one of the most loyal and trustworthy stems, unless they are a struggler. Okay? They're normally principled and grounded. Their nature is they generally, because it's the first of the 10 stems, they are naturally have leadership qualities, or they are seen as the leader. And they're generally more suited at management positions rather than followers. And they're good at coaching and educating others. That's the nature of Yang Wood. How many of you are Yang Wood here? So the Yang Wood, when it's on a negative side, when I say negative, it means that either the Yang Wood is too strong or the person has a mentality of a struggler, which means that more of the negative traits will show. Now, you might be thinking, so you mean if I switch my mode from struggler to Thriver, I can actually be more of the positive? The answer is yes. That's exactly how you transform destiny. It's about aligning yourself away from struggler, through survivor, and to Thriver. If you're on the Thriver side of being a Yang Wood, you will possess, or you will display, or you will acquire leadership qualities and leadership capabilities. Leadership capabilities, you might have a natural talent for it, but if you live your life in 60 years, you didn't even train yourself to develop this, then soon, or at some point, this quality is hidden. It remains hidden. Remember the treasure chest? It's somewhere in the map, but you don't know where it is, right? Until you develop it. Because now that you know that leadership, charismatic is one of the qualities of being a Yang Wood, and if you deliberately train it, deliberately adopt a Thriver's mind and say, all right, this is what I want. I want to teach myself this. I'm going to learn this stuff. I'm going to invest in learning how to lead. There are leadership courses, no? Right? So you do that. So, or you volunteer yourself for management positions. Now, here's the thing. I talk to a lot of people and they'll say, but I'm not promoted to the management position and therefore I cannot do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. Victim mentality, right? This is struggler. Sometimes you have to volunteer. When we say, yeah, I didn't get it. 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. It's like people saying, I can't find a job. When I get a job? Who's going to hire you? The thing is this, if you truly want to get a job, apply 200 times. You will get one. How many times do you apply? Twice. This is the type of people, right? So you see the struggler will apply 2 times, 5 times. The survivor, maybe 20 times. The Thriver, if they want something, they will do it 100 times if they do, until they get it. That's the difference. Okay? So, that's the thing. Same chart, right? I think this addresses one of the questions that we constantly get. If I'm born the same hour, do I get the same destiny? No, you got the same hour, same date, same time, but a struggler and a Thriver using the same chart would have a totally different outcome. Okay? So Yang Wood, definitely great at management positions. Most of your life, you will get an opportunity to do that. But the question is, will you be great at it? Depends on whether or not you are upskilling yourself for it. Because you can do it, personality-wise and character-wise. That's Yang Wood. So here are some key famous people that you could relate to Yang Wood. Elon Musk is Yang Wood. Lionel Messi is Yang Wood. Angela Merkel is Yang Wood. Bruce Lee is Yang Wood. And Richard Branson is Yang Wood too. So if you study their talents, abilities, characters, and their, whatever you could see in the media about them, you can see the Yang Wood nature from them. Okay? There's some examples. But the best is, you do your homework. I'm pretty sure you meet enough people in life to have a pool of examples, and some of them you will see the Yang Wood personality in them. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next one, Yin Wood. So as a Yin Wood day master, if you are on a positive side, meaning you actively be in a thriver side, generally you will be master in communication, great at networking, being able to convince and persuade people. Now, of course, although those are your natural abilities, but you might not be great at it. You know, there's such a thing called unconscious competence and conscious competence. You see the difference? If you're unconscious competence, that means you can't activate this all the time. You only can do it sometimes. But if you are consciously competent, you take what you already have as a simple ability, a small ability, and you level it up to level 100, for example. It's like a game, right? You keep leveling up, you become better and better and better doing it. So because you know that this is the thing that you're born with, and then you are a thriver, right? You develop that one thing that is within your capabilities, guess what will happen? Life transforms. Okay? Now, here are some famous Yin Wood personalities that you could see to get some ideas. Bill Clinton is a Yin Wood, right? Oprah Winfrey is a Yin Wood. We talk about Messi is Yang Wood. Guess what? The nemesis, Ronaldo, is Yin Wood. And you have Rihanna and Beyonce is Yin Wood as well. And Rupert Murdoch is also Yin Wood. Okay, now go and check your friends or your family members. Who are the Yin Wood? Right? Are they good at somehow, are they manipulative? Are they on the negative side? Or are they good thinkers and more persuasive? Right? Those are the Yin Wood personalities. So how many of you are Yang Wood right here? Yang Wood. Yin Wood? Who's Yin Wood? Okay, now how many of you who are not Yang Wood and Yin Wood as a day master, but you have Yang Wood or Yin Wood inside your chart? Anywhere in your chart. Yes, hidden stems are considered as well, but they're hidden. So that's why we don't pay too much attention to hidden stems for now. But how many of you have Yang or Yin Wood somewhere in the chart? That means some of these characteristics do appear in different aspects of life. Maybe in your work life, maybe in your social life, or maybe in your home life, or with your kids, you're a different personality. Why do I say that? Because the year represents your friends and family, your social circle, your industries, your market, your external world. The month of birth, the month stem, governs your work environment, your work personality, your work style, how you go to work, that role you wear in your work. You have a different behavior, different personality. When you go home and you deal with your kids, you're probably in a different character as well, right? You're the parent, right? What type of parent are you? Maybe you're a Yang Wood parent. Maybe you're a Yin Wood parent. The way you treat with your kids, or the way you deal with your staff, or you deal with your employees, different. So people wear different hats, guys. Okay? People wear different hats. So more on this later. So let's talk about Yang fire. How many of you have Yang fire in your chart? Or you are the Yang fire. So the image of Yang fire is like the sunlight. You are the sunlight, okay? It's like you're giving up the warmth to others. You are generous, sincere, right? Why sunlight represents sincerity? Because sunlight brings warmth, and it is what it is. Sunlight cannot pretend to be the moon, you know? So this is why the sun represents sincerity. And because it brings warmth, it's usually about friendliness. It's tenacious. It never gives up. I mean, have you ever seen the sun not rising in the east? Every single morning, no matter how hard it is, it rises back in the east. and it sets in the west. That's why we say, if you have a boyfriend and you dump him and he's yang fire, it's going to be very hard for you because he keeps coming back. That's the problem. He rises again in the east and comes back to you. So better you are the yang fire, you are the one dumping someone, yeah? Because if you dump a yang fire, you could be tenacious. And yang fire usually thrives on routine. The more structured their life is, their morning routine, evening routines. Not every successful person has a morning routine or has a daily routine, but a lot of yang fire people have a morning routine or some form of routine. Why? Because the yang fire every day comes out from the east and sets in the west. So it represents doing the same thing over and over again, but maybe in a more structured way. Okay? So that's what the yang fire represents. It also represents forward thinking. So, hey, let's talk about the next day. Another day is a new day, right? And they're altruistic. They put other people's needs first because the sunlight always gives out warmth. It brings life to 10,000 things on earth. It's magnanimous. It's even kind towards the rival sometimes, or the lesser person. That's the nature of yang fire. But if a yang fire is a struggler, so again, struggler is the mentality, all right? It's a choice of how they play the game as a yang fire. If they are a yang fire, they are negative. Generally, they enjoy being the center of attention. That means the sunlight has got no light, right? They keep their thoughts and their value inside. And although they want to shine, but they can't because it's covered by the clouds. So every time it's like that feeling of frustration is there. And they stay in their comfort zone. It's like sunlight is only bright when it's daytime. So if a sunlight is born in the nighttime, right, there's this like not so bright, right? So there's one thing about the yang fire you have to notice in the Bazi chart. If you're born anywhere between 5 a.m. all the way to 4:59 p.m., it's considered daytime. The sunlight is bright, okay? Whereas if the sunlight, you have yang fire day, and you're born between 5 p.m. all the way to 4:59 a.m., it's considered nighttime. And the sunlight is not bright. So when the sunlight is not bright, there's a tendency to not be able to shine, right? So when you're not able to shine, that means you have a hard time expressing. So one of the skills that you need to learn is learn how to express properly. Express your feelings, express your thoughts. This is one thing you have to learn to overcome it. Otherwise, it's very easy to slip into a struggling mode. And not good, right? Then you find that the world must revolve around you. And why you always show me unhappy face, but you're the one with the unhappy face. That's the problem, right? So even on the bright side, and when you're able to really express out, you'll be energetic, confident, and optimistic. But on the negative side, on a struggling mode, you probably feel more pessimistic, less confident, and less animated, less energetic, okay? Now you may say, but that's not my fault. Not my fault to be born at night. You think I want to be born at night? It's my mother's fault, born at night. Listen, obviously it is not your fault that you're born at night, but it is your responsibility to overcome this first hurdle. I know it's not fair, but there will be other things in life that is more favorable to you. But this is one of the things you must learn in order for you to become a great yang fire. The ability to express and the ability to shine, to share your happiness with other people. That's the part that for yang fire born at night, okay? So when they are thrivers, they're usually competitive and persuasive. And they are obviously the one that brings the joy and happiness to a lot of people, okay? Now, here are some famous yang fire. I'm pretty sure you know Steve Jobs. His ideas and innovation impact the world just like the sun. And J.K. Rowling, author of Harry Potter, and that really shaped the industry and impact kids all over the world and adults, right? So this is yang fire nature. Now, conversely, you have the yin fire. Now, yin fire, the description for yin fire is like candle fire. So candle fire shines brightest when? Opposite of yang fire, isn't it? At night. So remember the nighttime thing? The nighttime is basically 5 p.m. all the way to 4:59 a.m. is considered nighttime, the yin side, right? So if by nature a yin fire day stamp born around this time generally will find that their abilities and knowledge or their skills more appreciated. Because if you're born in the morning, not that you're not skillful, it's just that people couldn't see your light. Not that you're not good, it's just harder to see in the daytime. Imagine lighting a candle in the day. You don't really see the brightness, right? You see the brightness when it's at night. So that's the nature of yin fire. Now, don't use this as a victim mindset. Oh, no wonder my life sucks because my yin fire born in the morning. Listen, yeah, if you're born in the morning, don't blame anyone. It's just that, okay, now I know the setback. I now need to know what my strategy is. So first learn the positive thing. Yin fire people, when they are thrivers, they are thought leaders. They are deep thinkers, right? They drive to inspire other people. They are meticulous. They are technological minded, right? They love to study why things happen, how things happen, right? They are very thoughtful. They're deep thinkers. They're contagious. You know how fire can spark fire everywhere else? That's the yin fire nature, okay? So when it's negative, it's fickle-minded and it's very untrusting because the fire it's like kind of keep burning. You keep thinking that there's scarcity, not enough, right? I cannot afford this, I cannot afford that. You never think, how can I afford it? I just have to light more fire to make the room brighter. But no, you keep everything inside and you burn off, and in the end the candle dies off, right? So that's the thing, right? With yin fire, on the positive side, they are very cultured. They appreciate art, beauty, how things work, and why things work. They're philosophical, they're thoughtful, they're kind. Right? On the negative side, you can see that these people become very scattered mind. Right? They think about too many things at the same time, and they're very confused, and they believe in too many superstitions. They think they're spiritual, but actually they become superstitious. These are the type of people that become religious bigots. This is the problem with them. Okay, so if you have this issue, you need to understand, what do I need to do to bring myself to the positive side? All right? How do I have abundance mentality to share my knowledge, to impact the world? So you might need to work on that. So here are some of the famous personalities born under the yin fire. China's Xi Jinping and his idol, Mao Zedong. They are both yin fires. And Kobe Bryant is yin fire. Serena Williams is yin fire. Right? So you can see the yin fire nature, right? Lighting up candles and transforming the world, being inspirational. It's in their nature. Okay? All right, so if you're born at night, then yeah, it's a little bit hard for you to be inspirational. So here's the key word. This is what you need to do. In order to inspire others, first you need to be inspired. That's the thing, right? You want to inspire others? How to inspire if you're not inspired? So remember, a candle needs to first get the light from another candle. So go out and be inspired. Get your inspiration from traveling the world, meeting new people. That's how you get inspiration. Once you get inspired, your fire is activated, then you can live on the thriver side. Okay? Now let's talk about Yang Earth. How many of you here are Yang Earth? And by the way, how many of you are Yang Fire and Yin Fire? Yeah? Yang Fire and Yin Fire? Who amongst these two, which one do you think has a worse temper? I mean, before we talk about Yang Earth, how many of you, this one is more of a worse temper? They're fiery. The Yin Fire. The Yin Fire looks small, right? But they could burn the whole house down. It's very rare the Yang Fire will burn down the whole house, right? So the Yin Fire are the more crazier ones sometimes, yeah? So if your chart has a lot of Yin Fire, you're fiery by nature. Your chart a lot of Yang Fire, you're probably more lonelier, or as in more independent, or as in, I'm the sun, I don't give a shit. That's more Yang Fire. Most Yang Fire at the highest level, or at the extreme level, is they have a I don't give a shit mentality, okay? Or I don't give a fuck mentality. But in the Yin Fire is, I do give a fuck, I'm going to burn you down, okay? That's the difference between Yin Fire and Yang Fire. Okay, so let's talk about Yang Earth. How many of you are Yang Earth right here? Yang Earth in the chart. Yeah? Great. Yin Earth, Yang Earth, nice. Or you have Yang Earth in your other parts of your bazi. Go ahead and type your answer in the chat right now. So the picture, the image of Yang Earth is the mountain. Big boulders or rocks, that's Yang Earth. So the reason they use this for the picture is because Yang Earth personalities are usually steadfast. They are more independent. Not exactly stubborn. It's like basically I'm the mountain, I'm consistent, I'm supportive, I'm dependable. That's how the rocks is, how the mountains are. If the theory of reincarnation is real, you come back next life, mountain's still here, right? So they are principle driven. They have good integrity. I'm talking about the thrivers, yeah? I'm not talking about the strugglers. The thrivers are trustworthy. They are good keepers of secrets because you have to dig the mountain and, basically bomb the thing. Then you can get the stuff out of a mountain. So they are more trustworthy. Amongst the 10, I'm not saying that they all Yang mountains are trustworthy, but they are the most trustworthy amongst the 10, okay? The more chitty-chattier ones are probably the fire elements, especially yin fire, right? Because they just burn everything, right? So not that they want to tell the secrets, but it's easier for them to blurt the secrets, especially yin fire and yin metal. But we'll talk about a comparison sometime later. But let me just tell you the nature of yang earth. So they're solid, they're protective, right? In many ways, they are perfectionists. Of all the 10 stems, Yang Earth are more, they like to contemplate values, perceptions, right? Think about hermits living up in the top mountains, right? They contemplate life, they see the beauty of life, that sort of thing. When I say strugglers, that means they're more of the negative mindset. That means they were more prone to procrastination. Do you see mountains moving? Mountains don't move, they're just there, right? They're more unmovable, or you can say uninspired. That's the nature of the negative side of Yang Earth. Now, you might think, so am I good or am I bad? Does the chart say I'm good or bad? Now, if at any point you're thinking like that, let me tell you the answer. You can be both good and bad, right? It depends on whether you have chosen the mindset of a thriver or the mindset of a struggler. You see my point, right? The chart doesn't make you a thriver or struggler. You choose to be one of this. So on the negative side and the struggler side, you could be indecisive or not deciding. Tend to wait for opportunities to come, like a mountain could wait 1,000 years for the right person to come to lift the mountain. You know the story of Journey to the West? 500 years and someone turned up, okay, remove the mountain. That's the story to illustrate what Yang Earth is like. Okay? Or they could be single-minded stubbornness, like this is the way I'm going to do it. I don't know any other way. That's it. I refuse to learn too. It could be that. Or it could be I am a treasure chest of knowledge, values, right? A mountain could have a million years worth of experience. That's the power of a mountain. You have treasures or gifts that is uncovered. So a lot of Yang Earth people are very talented, but they just don't spend enough time excavating the mountain. So personality-wise, they're usually more persistent and down to earth. They're more realistic type. But the negative side is they don't talk much. That's the thing, right? And it's you don't ask, don't tell. They're not usually the ones that open up their feelings openly unless they know you really well. Okay, that's the nature of a Yang Earth personality. Okay, that means they're more secretive, and or maybe there's this thing, I don't think you guys need to know more about me. That's the thing, okay? Now, mountains. In order for mountains to shine, they normally need someone to discover or some external factors for a discovery. Because otherwise, mountains don't move by themselves. Do you realize that? Someone has to go and excavate the mountain. Someone has to recognize the talent. And you will see this in some of these names I'll share with you that are Yang Earth. You have Michael Jackson. You have Mark Zuckerberg. These are all mountains, but once activated, right? Once excavated, their talents are immense. That's the power of Yang Earth. Now, conversely, let's look at Yin Earth. How many of you here are Yin Earth? Or you have Yin Earth in the chart, right? But let's focus on the Yin Earth personalities first, okay? So for Yin Earth, the nature is different because this represents the soil. Soil are soft, right? The soil, you plant things, you grow vegetables, you grow vegetation. yin earth. So they're more nurturing, or they're driven to nurture other people. They are more tolerant and lenient. They're more patient in their approach, most yin earth, right? They might choose public over personal interests for the greater good, because when they are positive, of course. Okay, that's the yin earth nature. They are innovative, creative, and very resourceful, yin earth. That's their nature, right? Very resourceful. They're also empathetic. They are able to understand other people's needs and understand what other people are going through. And even if they have not experienced it themselves, somehow they can connect. But on a negative side, yin earth are, on a stronger side, they are skeptical, they're worrisome, they're very possessive, they are idealistic and hedonistic. It's all about pleasure and avoiding pain. Yeah, that's very yin earth. Their personality-wise, if they are on a positive side, on the triver side, they're more patient and caring. On a personality, on a negative side, they could be quite nasty and vicious. Okay, quite nasty. Now, they could be both, right? Depending on, sometimes on the public, they are very nasty, but on the private, they're very nice and caring. So that depends on where yin earth is, all right? So by nature, they're highly focused. They're highly focused. They prefer to stick to what they know best and use their own proven system, because that's how they grow and, create an entire plantation. And that's the yin earth nature. Now, on the negative side, they can be quite unforgiving, right? They remember the bad things that you did to them, right? You dig them, you toil them, right? They remember and they take their revenge. On the positive side, well, obviously there's the opposite, right? They could forgive and let's plant a new tree, right? That's yin earth. Now, some of the famous yin earth personalities that you might know of. Barack Obama is yin earth. You can see that character and nature, right? Now, I'm going to tell you something that could be quite shocking to you. Donald Trump is also yin earth. So both are resourceful, right? You can see the true nature here. But one has more of a controversial and nasty side of, the personality-wise, in terms of yin earth. But when it comes to capabilities, they are both very capable in terms of their yin earth nature. They're just using it in a different way. And who's a stronger yin earth? If you look at the chart, if you print their chart out, you'll see Donald Trump has a stronger, dominant yin earth in his chart. And another one, which is a little bit more controversial, Andrew Tate. He is yin earth character as well. Great. So, you guys yin earth? Yeah? So you're same with Donald Trump or you're same with Obama? All right. Now, let's talk about yang metal. I don't know how many of you here are yang metal. Yang metal? Okay, yin metal, yang metal. All right, wherever your stem is, this is about you. Now, even if it is not your day master, you have it in your chart. That means at one aspect of your life, you will display this sort of character and personality. Okay, it's a question whether you're on the thriving side or the struggling side, or the negative side. Okay, now let me talk about the yang metal first here. Okay, so yang metal, the image is like the X. It's like iron ore, right? It's iron ore. It needs to be forged into weapons like the axe or a sword. So it doesn't just become an axe or a sword. It needs to be forged. So when metal needs to be forged, what do you think forges metal? Fire, right? So fire needs to burn and forge that metal over time. So a lot of yang metal, if they have never gone through hardship in their life, they will never become useful tools. And so you may say, yeah, but that's a tough life, isn't it? Yeah, but you could enjoy the process too. It's like a person going to the gym, right? It's painful, right? Going on a diet is painful. Going for training is painful. A sportsman who goes through that rigorous training every single day, that's painful. That's true. But then they become powerful, important people or successful people. So yang metal specifically needs to go through forging. If it's not going through forging, they don't generally succeed, to the best they could be. Now, if they are thrivers, they are resilient, and they have discipline, or they will incorporate discipline into their life. They can endure and take hardship when they are thrivers. They can strive under pressure. That's a great yang metal. And obviously, over time, they will be able to become successful and hone their skills and lead great teams. But if the yang metal, it's weak, as in they don't like forging. They hate forging. Oh, I cannot take hardship, They're strawberries, for example, right? So strawberries is what we call the new generation. A little bit of pressure, then their mommy will say, oh, why you work so hard? You shouldn't work so hard. Come back and rest. That sort of thing. You scold them, then they cry. That's that sort of a personality. Nowadays, you have people like that. So, and if they're born as yang metal, then you will know that most of these people will not succeed. Not because they can't, it's because they chose not to. They're not forged. There will be no opportunities coming to them because every opportunity is too difficult. So bear in mind, yang metal has to go through that. Okay? So on a negative side, a yang metal can be overly competitive, sometimes arrogant, and quite judgmental. On a positive side, they have the arrogance is confidence, right? Competitiveness drives them to succeed. That's the good side. So of all the 10 stems, the hardest working is yang metal because they can take the hardship fire. Hard work actually benefits them. And they're quite affectionate, but strongly opinionated. That's the nature of yang metal. On a negative side, obviously the hardworking side is a tough life, right? Not so great if you want an elegant, stay at home, work from home, nomad lifestyle. Not very yang metal, right? And affection turns to possession if they are yang metal on the negative side. Okay, so here are some popular yang metal personalities that you might relate to. Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's yang metal. Definitely go through hard training to become who he is. Then you have Margaret Thatcher, right? She's not Iron Lady for no reason, And obviously getting her position is not easy. A lot of fire forging metal to get to that level. Queen Elizabeth II. I mean, you look at her life, right? Not an easy life to, even as queen, right? She is one of the most respectable for her discipline and her ability to, do so much for her country. That's yang metal as well. And Tiger Woods is yang metal. Okay? So you can see how these people succeed. It's the yang metal nature. You got to go through forging. All right. That's yang metal. Now, in comparison, you have yin metal. So yin metal is like the refined jewelry, right? The nice gold ring, right? The nice pendant you're wearing. They're beautiful, shiny objects. So of all the 10 stems, this is the one that is most elegant. They're eloquent, they're cultured, they have good taste or superior taste. At the highest level, they're supposed to radiate class. They love the spotlight. They're not afraid of it. In fact, they look for spotlight. They love to shine, right? So they obviously value appearances or face value. In Chinese, they say 面子, is face value. How they look in front of other people, their reputation. So it's very important for yin metal people. And they're competitive. It's just a different way. They're competitive in terms of comparing position, status. I have more than you, or I have something better. My son is smarter than your son, that sort of thing. That's internally, they are that. Yang metal is competitive in terms of, let's say, achievements, right? Yin metal is competitive in a different way. And they're more instinctive in terms of yin metal. Yang metal is more action-oriented, right? It's like, let's do it first and we'll talk about the details later. Yin metal is, let's talk about what's the deal here first before I do anything. Okay? So on the negative side, a yin metal is the most dramatic. Of all the 10 stems, yin metal equals drama. Most of the time. If your chart is full of yin metal, you probably have a lot of drama. Somewhere in your life, somehow dramas, they come into your life. Or you see, the problem is people think drama come into your life. But the thing is this, if you don't participate in drama, it's very hard to invite drama into your life. Because you participated in it, that's why. Okay, you're part of the show. So on the negative side, they could be quite vain, they like to show off, or overly sensitive, overly calculative. On the positive side, they're very eloquent, brilliant, right? They are knowledgeable. On the negative side, on the struggling side, they're temperamental. They are easily distracted, and they just delegate, and they don't actually have real skills. But if you have a great yin metal, on the positive side, they are very skillful, they are knowledgeable, and they make smart investments. And yin metal are highly intelligent people, and a lot of yin metal people are great at comedy and fun things, even though they're drama. Right? Their personal life might be dramatic, but in their life, they can have observations about life that other people can see, and they can find a funny thing or interesting thing to present that aspect of life. That's why a lot of famous comedians are yin metal. You will see David Letterman, Stephen Chow, right? That guy who acted as Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen, also yin metal. Okay, they also have a lot of drama as well. Yeah. So that's yin metal nature. How many of you guys are yin metal? You're good at delegating and not doing the work yourself? Right. So that's yin metal, okay? So you have a positive and negative side of being yin metal. Besides these comedians, then you have Lady Gaga is yin metal, her character. And guess what? Michael Jordan is yin metal, all right? I mean, you could look at what is called that Last Dance, and you understand he's very yin metal by nature. Okay, right? Needing to shine, quite dramatic, right? That the nature of this is a very yin metal nature. Now let's talk about yang water. How many of you guys here are yang water? Yang water in the chart. Okay. Now, so yang water is pictured as the vast ocean. Besides big oceans, they can represent big ponds or canals or big bodies of water. All right, that's yang water. So as they say, right, still water runs deep. So yang water are amongst the 10 stems, the most intelligent one, because water represents intelligence. They are most adaptive. They are the most unpredictable in most cases, right? They could be magnanimous and generous with most things, but one small thing, they could be very picky and unforgiving. They are deeply emotional, but you don't see it on the surface, because on the surface it's cool. It's the current that is happening in the inside. Okay, and they have relentless stamina. Not an easy nemesis if you have them as an enemy, because they have a lot of drive to finish you off despite the obstacles. Okay, and they're big visionaries. They react fast and they're not impulsive. They can see the big picture, and they're strong and action oriented. When it's negative, if they're strugglers, then they would be drifters. Like they go in all different directions. They're overly obsessive. Once they decide on a certain flow, nothing changes their flow. It's like a big flood. It just floods everything, right? And they're not fearful in doing something, even though they know that this might not be the right thing to do, but it's the right thing to do now, so then they're going to do it, right? So that's the yang water nature. It's like a big flood. In the positive side, they are proactive, they're visionaries, they're realistic and forceful. On the negative side, they can be quite demanding, extremely overbearing, overly ambitious, and that could drive a lot of their people, friends and families mad at the same time, okay? So that's the negative side of yang water. But otherwise, yang water, if you look at the list of rich people in this world, or powerful people, a lot of them, especially in the business world, are yang water. Because yang water is 75% of the earth, yeah? So, and it's the largest component. And yang water's indirect wealth element, you're going to study that later, next couple of sessions, is yang fire, sunlight, unlimited. Therefore, the richest people, if you see the richest people in Pazim, and you look at their chart, are those who are either yang water day masters and or have a dominant yang water in their chart. So you see Jack Ma, yang water. You have Bill Gates, yang water. You have Warren Buffett is also yang water, okay? But of course, the yang water, when it's on a negative, a struggler side, they are also the poorest people, because they're all scattered, right? Ocean without direction. Water without direction is scattered water, okay? But the richest this is quite a contrasting aspect for yang water. So if you're yang water in the chart, right, you might have a chance to be extremely wealthy. Or, first you have to overcome that obstacle to go from strugglers to the thrivers. So if a struggler will always scarcity, I'm not enough, I cannot afford, that's a struggler, right? A yang water person who is on a thriver, even when they don't have enough money, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to get it, because they know the difference is the importance. When something is important, they will find a way to get through it. That's the difference for powerful yang water people, okay? Because yang water is about water will find a way, right? Yang water will crush through the rocks. Even if the rock will find a way. So you see, many people could be yang water, right? You get yang water, or you have yang water in the chart. How do you become the thriver side of a yang water stem rather than a struggler? So the yang water that finds a way is someone who has a different perception of getting things done and prioritizing importance. It's very simple, right? If someone says, is 50,000 buying this item or this car expensive? For a struggler, say, it's too expensive, I cannot afford it, right? How about 100,000 to educate yourself, learn this skill set, get an MBA, study for 3 years, No, I cannot invest in that, I cannot afford it. But if you think about it, a yang water that is a tribal will look at it this way, right? If there is a gun pointed to your son right now, and it's going to shoot this gun if you don't find 100,000 because it's just been kidnapped right now. He wants 100,000 right now, and you don't have it, but you are yang water, and you are thriver. What do you think you would do right now? You will find a way. That's the difference, because you will become resourceful. This is the most important thing ever. So it's not really a question of whether or not that yang water has the money. It's a question of whether they see something as really important or not. That's the difference, right? So if you look at the life of Jack Ma, or if you look at this Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, or whoever is a yang water, Tom Brady, for example, right? The way they prioritize something, it's very different than other people. Because when something is important, these guys will find a way. And if you look at their early life, they always find a way, even when they couldn't afford it, right? But those who are yang water, who is obviously on the struggler side, it's not important, or I know it's important, but life got in the way, right? So that's the difference. It's not easy to activate the yang water in the chart. Not easy. I get it. I agree, right? But activating it will get you to the thriver side if you have it, and the level of wealth and success is hugely different. Okay? So being a thriver is not merely just thinking, it's actually being in that position and doing those things as a thriver. All right? Now, of course, the analogy of pointing a gun to your son is very extreme, but I'm just trying to give you an example of how important the water can flow through even rocks, right? They can cut through mountains. Now let's talk about yin water, all right? Yin water is very different than yang water. Yin water is like the description, like the mist, like the morning dew, right? Like the clouds, right? They're formless, or they could be any form. So they represent mystery or mysterious, right? They are inconsistent in many different levels, right? One day they can be doing this, next day they can be doing that. They could do many things and be many things. It's like the mist. They're observant, imaginative, creative, intuitive. It's the most intuitive amongst the 10 stems. And they are natural storytellers. They roll with a flow of imagination, because this forms is all whatever you imagine the cloud to be, right? Out-of-box thinkers. They prioritize, creativity and transformation. The only problem is when there's negative side, the yin water is very inconsistent. They lack focus, right? They are generally introverted, too many ideas, or they probably do too many things at the same time. But when it's positive, yin water is super adaptable. They can multitask. That's the true power of yin water. They are communicative, artistic, easygoing. But they need that freedom. Yin water is like the cloud. They need to float and fly everywhere. The moment they feel trapped, then it starts to rain. They become emotional. They feel that very lost, don't know where to go, right? So that's the yin water nature. So they keep moving and transforming. So they are sentimental and romantic. That's the good side of yin water. They are mysterious and enigmatic, but in a negative side, they can be very deeply emotional and also sometimes very sensitive. That's the yin water nature. Okay. So here's the thing. If you have to lend money to someone, do not ever lend to a water person, especially yin water. Not because they're untrustworthy, it's because you can't find them. Today they are here, tomorrow they are there, they travel everywhere, and then they disappear, yeah? That's the yin water nature. So yang water is probably the same thing. Not they cannot afford it, it's just that they're flowing everywhere. So water by nature means movement, all right? So probably the other elements are more reliable when for returning monies to you, but if someone has too much water in their chart, it's generally harder to get your money back. Now, this is one of the things you could see in reading your barter chart. So it's really interesting, all right? Now, here are some famous personalities who belong to the yin water. You have Zhuge Liang. If you don't know who this guy is, he is the most famous strategist, Chimendunja practitioner in the Three Kingdoms era. Right? He's also credited to be one of the greatest users of Chimen ever lived, one of the sages. Then you have modern times, you have Ellen DeGeneres, right? And she's yin water. And you have Pope Francis is yin water. And so is the Dalai Lama, also yin water. So there you go. These are the 10 basic stems, right? Let me just put our 10 stems once again right here. These are the 10 stems. So these 10 stems, if they're in your day of birth, that means you have that basic character nature. Now, you could be on a thriver side, or you could be on a struggler side. Now, some of you are asking, so how do I know whether I am a thriver or I am a struggler? The answer to that, let me answer, because you're probably asking me this so many times. I'm telling you the answer now. The chart doesn't dictate whether you are a struggler or whether you are a thriver. Do you get it or not? Is you decide whether you want to be a thriver or are you a struggler. It's in the mental perception. Your mentality is what decides that. Okay? So I draw you back to the point where I was 15 years old. Remember the point? I tell you the story is so important. At 15 years old, I got a reading from one of these masters, apparently very renowned, so he's telling me that I will be poor until 45 years old. Now, I read this information, I learned the information, I studied parts of it. Let me ask you this. What sort of mentality do I need to thrive to get to where I am today and even better? I need the thriver's mentality. Suppose that I was a struggler mentality. It's like, oh my God, I have a poor chart, which part of my chart say that I am a struggler? That sort of stupid questions, right? When will I be rich? That sort of question. That is generally, I would just ask those questions for the rest of my life if I'm struggling, but instead, ask the questions from a thriver's perspective. What is the next right step? What can I do? What are my options? What can I do differently right now that will make things different, right? How can I afford to study and invest in myself? How can I afford to be better? What do I need to do right now? See the difference? Okay, so everyone begins at maybe some disadvantage because you cannot be a perfect chart, right? But the mentality sets the difference. The mentality really sets the difference. Okay, so there are a lot more. So if it's the year stem will give you a glimpse into your personality with your friends and social circle. The month stem will give you a glimpse into your personality in terms of work and your work colleagues and all that. And the day, obviously, the day represents how you are by nature. The hour pillar represents your kids and people that is under your care and how you relate to them. Okay, so that's the 10 stems and 10 basic personalities. Because it's from here that we're going to expand to potential, hidden talents, and so forth. Okay? These are just the beginning, the 10 stems. And you need to look at all your friends and all your families and people you know and group them into these 10 categories. Can you do that? Great. Now, as promised, you stayed all the way till the end of this training for today. How many of you here are still here? Type of 1. You want to keep going? Yeah? You enjoyed today? All right, so as promised, here is a special download for today. It's about the 10 stems, and this will give you deeper insights. How many of you want this? How many want this? More stuff, more details on unlocking the Day Master. You want one? Type of 1 if you want it right now. Okay, so here it is. Here's the download. Here's the link. Go to this link right now, and only for you guys who are watching this right now and stay all the way to the end, this link is for you to download right now. And also, as mentioned earlier on, because you stayed all the way to the end, how many of you would like a copy of this book? Type with me right now. Want a copy of this book? Okay, so here's how you can win a copy of this book. See this right here? This is the homework for today. Now, I need you guys to go through this homework. This is very, very important. You've just done the 10 stems. You just begin your journey to learn about the pattern, right? So you're a beginner. You're starting your journey. When you're going through this exercise, there's a couple of questions you just have to go through. It's super easy, right? When you go through this, think about it clearly. You can always refer to the notes. You can refer to the special download for additional information. But I want you to process what you've learned and write it out following this exercise. It's really, really easy, okay? So once you go through these 5 key components, it sort of gives you a reflection of who you are. It helps you identify and relate to your specific stem or parts chart and get acquainted with your chart and the elements, okay? So it also talks about how you become more aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, and also have a reason why you're learning parts. What problem would you like to solve? What challenge would you like to solve? Or what goals would you like to achieve? I mean, it's no harm thinking about it, right? What is your ultimate goal in the next 1 to 2 years? I mean, some people don't think about it. How long do you want to wait for your dreams to come true, right? So if Parzer can help you get to where you want to be, where is that where you want to be? Let's have some fun with this, right? Suppose you can get anything that you want in life. What would that be? Write it down. Maybe you can really get there. So this will introduce you to the first step of using Parzer by having a goal. Okay, all right. So you want to win a copy? Make sure you do the homework and submit the homework into our special Facebook group. Okay? So download this sheet. Follow the steps. Number 1, step 1, download the sheet. So once you finish writing to your heart's content, then take a picture of yourself. Take a selfie, all right? And post it along with this question into the group so I know who you are. Okay? And scan this code, this QR code, for the immediate access to that special group. Some of you are saying, I don't have a Facebook group, I have something else. Listen to me. Deep breath. It's okay. All right? Don't be a struggler. It's all right. The secret agents are not going to go there and kill you, all right? So put it in, open a Facebook account, and so that you can submit your homework. Do whatever it takes, guys. Okay? Stop complaining. I had this before. Oh, I don't have a Facebook group. I don't have a Telegram group. What am I going to do? Well, open one. It's not the end of the world. Slap. Pow, pow, pow. Wake up. All right. Okay. If you wonder why you've been unsuccessful your whole life, yeah, stop doing shit. Okay. Now, do we have questions that you highlighted just now? Because I saw a lot of questions.
Put it on the screen.
Okay. So bring out the questions. I will just bring on this screen, yeah? This screen. All right. So I can see it clearly. And I'll answer all. You guys can post your questions here, and I will try my best to answer as many as possible today. And we're going to answer again on the next session as well. A lot of questions, right? Telegram, this chat group here. So this is from Siu Ching. Can Parzi reveal hidden talents or strengths I haven't discovered yet? Of course lah. Of course. If you discover it, it won't be hidden, isn't it? Right? So here's the thing. It takes time to discover, and it also takes a little bit of time to develop the talent. People, the expectation is like, oh, you said I got this talent, then I do this, and suddenly I'm talented. Listen, all talents take time to develop. Everyone, write this down. All talents take time to develop. So please be patient. Okay? Be patient with it. Jack's question, what does my wealth element actually mean in parts? Does it predict how much money I can make? No, the wealth element doesn't predict how much money you can make, but it does tell you what are the best options, best practice, best available opportunities based on your whichever section you are in your life path right now. That tells you all that you need to know to make the best out of the wealth possibilities in your life. Yes, that's what it actually means, and a lot more too. Okay? Oh, by the way, guys, I just want to mention one thing here. You can post your questions on Telegram, or you can post your questions here. Just one thing. Guys, listen to me first. Listen. Please don't expect immediate answers. You realize that we have limited capacity of people trying their best, doing voluntary work to answer your questions. If I see any one of you vexing my people, like, oh, why you didn't get my answer? I've been waiting for 2 days. Listen, please wait for 2 weeks first, and then we talk. Don't complain. I really don't like it. If anyone complains their question is not answered, just post your question again. That's it. If you are rude, I will slap you out of that group right now. All right? So please, just one thing. When it comes between you and my people, I always choose my people first. This is my rule in running a business for many years. So I hope you respect that. If you vex my people by saying, you don't answer me, why don't I get an answer? No. You just post your question again. Hey, here's my question again. That's it. And we will try our best. All right. Back to the questions. So, Shauna says, if two people have the same day, Master, born on the same day, why can their personalities be so different? Because one of them chose to be a thriver, and one of them might be a struggler, and one of them might be a survivor. And more importantly, at different junctions of their life, they may have made different choices. Because one of them might be a thriver very late in life. And so they say, he or she might have said no to a lot of opportunities. Whereas one of them might be a thriver, might earlier in life and say, I'll find a way to do this. I'll find a way to afford this. I'll find a way to invest in myself. I'll find a way to be better. And so they have the opportunities much earlier, and therefore their personalities develop over time, and now they have a different outcome. That's how it is. Okay. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Okay. So, next one, Crystal. Sometimes I feel stuck, like I'm not on the right path. Can Paza help me figure out why? Yes, it can help you figure out why, struggler. All right. Once you figure out why, the next question you should ask yourself, so how can I get unstuck and move forward to get to where I need to be? All right. You see, the thing is, I make it in a fun way, but still, it's not your fault, Crystal, asking a question like this, because a lot of people feel the same way, and all they want to know is why. Why my life is like this? Listen, the next thing you need to do is find out, okay, what can I do? Right? So what can I do? What do I need to do right now to get this or get that or be this or be that? Success is who you become, Crystal. Write it down. Success is who you become. Success is not just about getting something. All right? Marina, which time should I use to convert to get my Pazi? Your local date and time of birth. Use your date and time of birth wherever you are born. That's the correct time. You don't convert it to Beijing time, China time, Malaysia time. No, you do not convert it. You use your local time. Got it? Wicked. I've heard stories that I shouldn't learn Pazi because these are heaven's secrets, and that the more I read, the worse my luck becomes. Is it true? Absolutely untrue. Listen, I've been reading so many charts since 1996 until now. I think if that's the case, then I should have serious bad luck until now. So this is absolutely not true. In fact, the more you read, the better you become, because you learn about life. You learn about how you can become better. You learn about how you can help other people. And the more you help other people, your life becomes better. So this heaven's secret is basically an excuse for some of these masters who don't know how to help others or don't know the answer. So they will just say, heavenly secret cannot be revealed to you, you're mere mortal. So that's, people say shit like that, but it's just because they don't know the answer. Okay. Jamie says, how much of my life is already set in my Bazi chart and how much can I actually change? So what is set in your chart is the 8 characters. What you can change is the capacity and maximization of each one of them. Each one of them is a star, and the star has attributes, components, talents, abilities, gifts. So most of the time, we won't be able to maximize everything in the chart because this is too many. So choose a few that is most nearest to you and the easiest one, the path of least resistance, and maximize those instead. So that's the game of Bazi. I'm thinking about switching careers, but I'm not sure when or how. Can Bazi guide me on the best timing? Not only can Bazi guide you on the best timing, but it also can tell you whether or not this change is something more aligned with your greater goal. Because some change are basically disruptions. Some change are side quests to the main goal that is necessary to get through, to get a certain skill set or ability so that it's more aligned with your greater good. So Bazi can help you identify that. And then you look at timing. So not everything it's necessary to change. So it must be aligned with your main goal. Samantha, if my chart suggests financial struggles, does that mean I'll always have money problems or can I turn things around? Absolutely, you can turn things around by learning what caused the struggle in the first place. If you have money problems, how many of you have similar money problems and challenges? Be honest here, type of me right now. Okay, do you want to change it? Yes. Strangely enough, to change money problems do require you to first go and obtain some money. And that's the first skill. Find a way to generate value. Once you have the value, exchange that for more knowledge in finance, for example. Because you have financial struggles because you have financial lack of financial knowledge. Maybe go and learn something that can help, right? And you invest in that thing. So a lot of people don't want to make the investment because they don't want to add the value because they thought that that's too difficult, and that's why they end up in this rat race all the time. So to change this, the answer is yes. It is highly possible and very, very, very likely that you can change this if you just know how. So the answer is yes. Then this is from Chris. If I don't like what my Bazi chart says about me, is there anything I can do to change my path? Obviously, first change your perception of the chart. What you don't like about a chart is possibly stem from you looking at it from a survivor or struggler's point of view. From a thriver's point of view, you will look at what's positive in the chart. There's always something to like about your chart. So the question is whether or not you can see it as such. And that's the training you need. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this session today. How many of you have a great time? Type of 1. Okay, so now the next session, I will have the details up here. Guys, can you put up the next session details here? Okay. And also check your inbox. Now make sure that you whitelist or whatever you call that to our emails that comes to you. Because some people say, oh, I don't have my email or that. Listen, we send it out to everybody. Why would we just not send to you alone, right? We definitely will send to everybody who registered and are part of this training. We would not just not send to you. So if you did not receive it, it's 110%. It's something somewhere that you blocked it. So please go and check it yourself rather than telling my team, oh, you guys just send to me and start blaming my people. They're not. They send out everything. So please, okay, it's your responsibility to check your emails and make sure that you have done all that you need to do to make sure you receive them, or you be on the Telegram group. The Telegram group is always updating you all the time. Or you just take down this date and log in again. That's it. Or be nice to the team, to a Telegram at Team Jovial. They would do their best to answer you. But you need to write directly to them. Got it? Okay, guys?